Hi guys, welcome to this updated video this evening. I do hope you're doing amazing, and we're going to be talking about what is taking place across the North Atlantic basin. So there is a tropical wave which has entered the Caribbean, but it is still helping to influence rainfall for some areas. Parts of the Southeast Caribbean and also Northern South America have been experiencing a lot of heavy rain due to the influence of this wave. Another one is about to enter the Caribbean as well as on its way. And with all that moisture, there's definitely going to be additional periods of heavy rain, which means there's definitely going to be that risk of flooding as well, especially in the more vulnerable areas. I also wanted to thank you guys for all your heartwarming comments because I've been sick the past couple of days and I'm definitely doing better now. But I really appreciate the influx of these very warm messages. It really means a lot to me. But, I'm just happy to be able to produce updates videos for you guys, especially seeing that we're now in the hurricane season. But let's go ahead and talk about what is going on. And also, could we possibly see some brief spinach in the Atlantic basin? So we're going to be talking about that. Let's go on to it. Okay, first things first, we are definitely seeing that the afternoon is starting to get active. We're seeing a lot of sparkling going on in the Caribbean there. Those white dots indicating lightning strikes, so we get an idea of where those thunderstorms are taking place. The same general area, it's been a trend within the afternoon. Why in the afternoon? The daytime heating of the sun helps to contribute to atmospheric instability, which helps to fuel those thunderstorms. So that is what we see going on in parts of the Caribbean. There's all that convection associated with that tropical wave which just entered the basin yesterday, and that next one, it's on its way. We can see some convection associated with it. A third one is much further out in the tropical Atlantic, not too far from the African coast. And then briefly looking at the Eastern Pacific, we've got, Barbara dissipated, and then Cosme is just remnants right now. So that system is extratropical. And there's that next area with a high chance of development, 90% chance we could see something develop over the next couple of days. So by this weekend, we could see a new depression or storm forming over there. And then another area highlighted. Now, one of the things to note is that these tropical waves, as they move across the Atlantic basin and eventually enter the Pacific, they help the Pacific storms to be forming because they increase all that rain and thunderstorms, all that convection within the ocean basin. So they may not be forming into anything in the Atlantic, but they're definitely helping to influence the systems within the Eastern Pacific. Matter of fact, here's a look at our surface chart with the axes of our tropical waves. So we can see them, that one definitely moving across the Caribbean, and that new one with its axis just within the vicinity of northern French Guiana, and then that other one not too far off Africa. Zooming into the area here for the Southeast Caribbean and some other areas, we can see all this convection due to the moisture under the influence of the tropical waves. So Trinidad, there's definitely been some flooding. I've been seeing the videos. Even in Tobago, I believe schools were ordered closed yesterday. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's also been as a result of this adverse weather. Even in other areas such as Grenada, the Grenadines, there's definitely been some rain around, and more is on the way. Northern South America, Guyana, we can see all that convection this evening, and then even parts of Venezuela as well. So this really is going to be the trend. Further west here, we can see all this thunderstorm activity at a much closer view. By the time I post this, I'm expecting a lot more thunderstorms in parts of the Greater Antilles and towards Central America. But that's been going on this afternoon. Much of the Virgin Islands and parts of the Leeward Islands as well. Much of the Leeward Islands are in the clear, likewise for sections of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Grand Cayman, not a whole lot going on. And also for a few spots within the vicinity of Jamaica. Rainfall forecast for today. So again, a lot of rain within the sections of the southeastern Caribbean, Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, the Grenadines, maybe even parts of St. Vincent may experience some heavy downpours at times. Lots of color towards South America. Beyond an inch or so of rain for many areas, definitely flood triggering rainfall, so please stay safe. Showers could definitely be passing by the ABC Islands, St. Lucia, Barbados, and northward through the rest of the Lesser Antilles. Much not expected, but there could definitely be a few passing showers between now and tomorrow morning. Similar story as we head towards the Virgin Islands. Puerto Rico, there could be some thunderstorms this afternoon. Hispaniola, Cuba, that's already starting to take place. Also for some spots in Jamaica, so some isolated areas may definitely experience some heavy downpours. Cayman Islands, much not expected, likewise for most of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and towards sections of Central America, but other places are colorful, meaning that there could be some substantial rain between now and tomorrow morning. So for parts of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, maybe a few spots in Belize, Guatemala, Mexico, it will be active for sure. And then one of the factors which helps to influence the rain, we've got a bit of dust in the area. So for parts of the northeastern Caribbean, sections of the Lesser Antilles, and even going to the vicinity of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, there's some dust around. And it's not as dense compared to last week, for example. We had some pretty dense dust plumes, but we don't have that much dust in the region. Some is still loitering, so you may notice that it's a bit hazy, but nowhere as intense. And then that will eventually clear up as we head into the new week. So that's for the dust forecast. And I mentioned earlier, could we possibly see some level of development or some brief development attempts to take place? Note from the National Hurricane Center that over the next 7 days, development is not anticipated. However, I have been noticing a little trend on some of our models as it pertains to the tropical wave that is about to enter the Caribbean. That's the one with its axis over northern French Guiana. So let's look at a couple of models, and we're starting out with GFS here. Now, this graphic may be a bit confusing, but we can see the black outline of the different land areas. We've got the Caribbean, North and South America, Central America. We see those squiggly lines indicating isobars. That is where areas of equal atmospheric pressure meet, so that is what those squiggly lines indicate. In terms of seeing development, especially tropical development, we tend to see those isobars in a circular manner, and we see an L to show that, hey, this is a low pressure area, and we also see a value there. The lower that value is, the stronger the system would be. These green shadings indicate moisture, and there we have the time. So this is for Sunday the 15th of June, Father's Day. So here we can see this rain surge in the South Caribbean, but one of the things I want to get out there, GFS has been showing these things spinning up for the past couple weeks. The model has been showing a lot of scenarios of strong storms developing here and there in the Caribbean, the Gulf. So GFS does this within the early part of the season. It's a notable trend, matter of fact. And seeing this 1 or 2 times does not indicate that, hey, something will form. What we want to see as well is the model consensus, some agreement that, different models are kind of pinging this area. What will the environmental conditions be like? Will it actually allow for development to take place? Now, I would say that there is a very minor chance of seeing development. One of the contributing factors being timing and also land interaction, because as I mentioned to you guys, a lot of these tropical waves are helping to influence those storms we're seeing in the eastern Pacific. They move across the Caribbean, cross over Central America, and into the Pacific. So we're speaking of whether there could be a chance that the tropical wave could actually try to develop into something before reaching the Pacific. So by Sunday, GFS is definitely showing an increase in moisture. Now, go into Sunday evening. Here we can see the L, so it's showing that, hey, we have a low pressure area just offshore Nicaragua. And then going into Monday, it is showing that system moving over Central America with all this moisture, all this rain. And we see that low pressure area lingering. Now, once it makes contact with land, once it would move over land, that would diminish chances of development. Why? Remember, tropical cyclones need all that moisture and heat coming from the Caribbean Sea or the ocean, wherever it is, that body of water. So once it moves over land, that would completely diminish chances of development within that area. Looking at the Euro model, Euro is kind of a conservative model, so headed to Sunday, it is showing an area of low pressure It is definitely showing that increase in moisture, but nothing consolidated. Head into Sunday evening, similar story. We just see all this moisture loitering within the West Caribbean around the vicinity of Central America. So we're definitely seeing some hints that we may see something attempt to get itself together. And regardless of development, there is likely to be a rain surge. So that would mean that there could be instances of flooding rains for parts of Central America, regardless of any development taking place, because we know that we don't need a formed system, a solid system for there to be life-threatening impacts. Just a surge in tropical rains is enough to result in that to happen. As I mentioned, timing is of the essence, because if we have something just moving by very quickly, 15 to 20 miles per hour, I mean, it wouldn't really have the time to, really simmer down and get itself together, even if environmental conditions are very favorable. And we have some conditions that are favorable. For example, with the previous tropical wave, it really helped out with the moisture, with increase in moisture in the atmosphere. But also the water temperatures are very warm. Looking at this graphic here, we can see these temperatures. We're mostly seeing 27, 28, 29 degrees Celsius, even up to 30 in a few spots within the Caribbean. And the ideal temperature to support development is 26 degrees Celsius. So sea surface temperatures are well on their way. But there's another factor which helps to influence development. That is upper level winds. When those are strong, that helps to inhibit or prevent significant development. So that's what we call vertical wind shear. This graphic is showing three distinct colors here. We see red, yellow, green. The green areas, upper level winds are favorable and will not be interfering with development. Yellow shadings, not the best, but not the worst. Red shadings, definitely what any developing system would hate, since it would interfere with development and prevent any significant intensification. And we see those red lines being pretty prevalent across the Caribbean right now. So all environmental factors are not highly conducive to allow for development to take place. However, nothing is solid, as I mentioned, and as I said, it is a pretty minor chance. Again, nothing is marked by NHC to be watched. So I'll be keeping you guys posted as time goes by. But that's essentially it for this update video. It's a pretty long one, but I just thought I'd go in a bit of detail about potential development. So I hope you found it to be informative. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll get to you when I can. And remember to always be weatherwise.